the representative of the president of NCS, my informal advisor and also a friend, Bonta, the IT man of the year, my friend Yemi Okeremi, my colleagues from NITDA, particularly Director of E-Government Development and Regulatory Department, Dr. Vincent Olatunji, representatives of various industries here, all other protocols duly and respectfully observed. Good morning, and may peace, mercy, and blessings be upon you. It gives me a great pleasure to stand before you today in order to discuss some issues under the organization of the Office of Nigerian Content, being led by my brother, Barrister Kazim Sodengi. I have a very tight schedule, but looking at the critical situation we find ourselves and the challenges we have in the IT sector, particularly in software, I feel it's necessary for me to create time out of no time to be here in person. Today, I have a meeting in the National Assembly, but I had to ask them to reschedule the meeting because of this event. As you all know, it's not difficult for you to apologize to National Assembly. but I try to do that because to me, this meeting is more critical and important than attending any other meeting. The reason why the meeting is very important, firstly, we all know that our government is trying to diversify our economy. Particularly, we realize that depending on oil alone cannot solve our problems, particularly in the future. Many other developed nations are even running away from using vehicles that use fuel and diesel. And maybe by 2030 or 2040, developed nations could hardly use all these vehicles. So the best alternative for us in Nigeria to diversify our economy, I think, is ICT, particularly software. Secondly, we always complain about job creation. Today it's absolutely difficult to meet our younger ones, particularly graduates among them, and ask them to go to farm. That has not been their perception, and it's difficult to change that. Somebody who considers himself as a graduate, you just give him 50,000 naira and ask him to go to farm and start working. It's difficult to convince most of them. The only way you can at least try to see that you create many jobs in this country, you create many entrepreneurs in this country, I think is through software. So any attempt to create entrepreneurs is absolutely difficult without taking software into consideration. And I think software occupies not only a peripheral position, but a central one in this country, particularly in the area of digital job creation. Furthermore, as we have been saying day in, day out, that Nigerians have been doing wonderfully well in the area of software. I have no doubt about this, but still there are many challenges that we need to address. Recently, if you look at international ranking, which has been released by HackRank, they placed Nigeria among the 50 software developing countries in the world. This is a clear indication that the entire world recognizes that Nigerians has been doing wonderfully well in that regard. But we have one attitude. We usually have no respect for what we produce. Not only in software, that is our general perception. We hardly respect what we produce. Whatever is produced locally, our perception we consider is to be inferior. And whatever is imported, no matter how bad it is, as long as it is imported, we respect them. That is the perception that I feel is necessary for us to change. This is not only in software, that is our general perception. In our clothes, in our shoes, in what we eat, in what we build our houses, whatever we do, we have that mentality that what is produced locally is inferior, and what is imported, no matter how ugly it is superior. That perception needs to be changed, not only in the area of software, but in general, we have to change that perception. No country is developed without respecting what it produces. This perception is necessary. In addition, to justify that the country has been doing excellently well in the area of software, look at the companies we have around and look at the products they have been producing, but yet other nations are interested, but we Nigerians are not interested, except where it's necessary. There are many examples, like GIFMIS, for example, like TSA, and many more, which is a clear indication that the country has been doing well. In 2016, we launched a software which has been developed by Precise Financial Solution. It has been developed, and today I can't recall seeing any bank using it. Which I think is, these are some of the issues we need to address. Whatever we develop, let us ensure that we enforce it. Recently, at least maybe around 7 to 8 months ago, we started having a holistic approach towards ensuring that we regulate IT sector critically, particularly in the area of surveillance. We always try to see the software and hardware being deployed by MDS. We write a letter to them officially and ask them to put the project on hold, come to us for a meeting to justify why they are importing software while we have the capacity to do it in Nigeria. So we have a very long battle recently with the Bank of Industry. You all know what the Bank of Industry has been doing. We exchange letters with them up to 5 or 6 times, to the extent that the last letter we sent to them, they either avoid importing ICT or rather we take them to court. And we are in the process of doing that. We wrote many letters even to CBN. We called their attention to that. And we asked CBN to ensure that they enforce that in all the banks they regulate in Nigeria, that no hardware or software will be imported to Nigeria without what? Without giving priority and preference to what Nigerians are developing. And this has been going on with so many agencies of federal government today. We have been writing many letters, and some of them we exchange very hot messages, very solid messages, which I feel is not necessary for me to disclose here, because drastic problems require drastic solution. If we continue to handle things politically or administratively, some will not understand. That is why usually when they fail to comply, we always try to see that we approach the issue militarily, which I think is better in that regard. However, Dr. Vincent has been calling me all the time, I say you are an administrator. Not all issues can be addressed administratively. Sometimes legal or military approach is better. So that is why. So bear with me. That is sometimes how I behave in writing the letters. Sometimes if I read the letters I send to them, even at night I wake up and sit down. I review it critically. Because that is the only language they understand. Any approach that is polite, they just neglect it. But when we send that letter to them with that very strong language, the following day you will see their reply, or you will see a very strong team coming to the agency for a meeting. That is what they usually do. And the reason why we are giving more priority to regulation today in spite of the fact that we continue with all the aspects of NITDA's development. We did not stop any aspect of IT development in NITDA. But we try to reactivate our regulation because you can't develop IT in Nigeria without regulation. All these letters we are sending is part of the regulation. If you develop software and no one is there to ask them to patronize it, then how can they patronize? They can't do that. As you said, because of corruption. They can't patronize. So the only way you can enforce what is being developed in the country is to regulate the sector. And our regulation is not in any way to jeopardize or frustrate your effort, but rather to ensure what is developed is being patronized. That is what we are after. Because as long as there is no regulation, no enforcement, no surveillance, for sure they will never patronize. Either because of the perception I explained earlier or because of corruption. That is the reality of the situation. So that is why our regulation is not in any way to frustrate, but rather to ensure that what is being developed is being deployed, and at the same time, what is being developed is promoted. That is what we are after. So that is why the agency realizes that the only way to develop IT sector today is through developing and regulation. They should go simultaneously. That is what we usually do. In the course of this meeting, I want to use the opportunity to call your attention to a Presidential Executive Order 05, which was released just yesterday, which I think is very important. Before, a few months ago, one Presidential Executive Order was released as 03 by the then acting president. And yesterday another one was released. Both of them are directly promoting the patronage of our local content. Particularly, I like using the word indigenous content, because still our perception, whenever we say local, we don't think it is something indigenous. We think it's something that is fake and inferior. So that is why usually whenever you are talking to people, you say local content. They will say, but you say local. Because in Nigeria, whatever you say local is not about indigenous. They are thinking it's inferior and fake. So that is why I like saying national content or indigenous content, so that that perception of local will not immediately come to your memory. So I think this meeting, this discussion is very apt. We need to come together, discuss our challenges, our strength. And the reason why I asked my facilitator, my younger sister, Uwa Suleiman, not to even recite my citation, we are not here for a tea break. We are here to tell ourselves the truth. I will appreciate any constructive criticism. Don't feel you are with the DG, you find it difficult to tell him. Please, whatever you have that you think the agency should do to promote ICT in the country, please say it. Whatever you know that we are doing which you feel should not be done, don't be in any way afraid or shy of telling me. I'm not such kind of person. I always respect people that can criticize me constructively, and I respect them for that. So if you have any word of praise to tell me, please keep it with you. But if you have any observation, constructively come forward and say it, and I will appreciate that. Thank you very much.